In this tutorial, I will explain you the basics of a grammar, how a grammar works. Let's say that we added a new grammar. To write a grammar, you either start by a parenthesis or a bracket. When you start a grammar with a parenthesis, it means that everything that you write inside this grammar will be repeated indefinitely. For example, let's write a word that is pointing to an index word and close the parenthesis. See what is happening. You can see that as I draw the segment, the word is repeated indefinitely. Now, if I start with a bracket and write a word that is pointing to an index 1 and close the bracket, you can see that it will just repeat it one time. For example, no matter if I stretch this line, it will only repeat it that one time. I can precise the number of times that it will be repeated by just adding a number next to it. For example, 3. Now see that it's just repeated 3 times. Now, if I want a complex grammar, I can just mix both. Let's say that we start with a word that is repeated one time, a word that is pointed to an index 1, then add a word that is repeated an infinite time, like a word that is pointed to an index 1, then add a word that is repeated one time. Now see what happened. You can see that it added a word, this word here, then it added a word that is repeated an infinite time, then it added a word that is repeated one time. As explained it, you can see that it just go infinitely. Now let's take a look at this advanced grammar. Can you guess what this grammar is describing? Basically, it just said that we add a word that is repeated one time, then add a word that is repeated multiple times, then add a sequence of a door, wall, and door that is repeated one time. You can see it here, door, wall, door. Then proceed to add a word that is repeated an infinite time, then add a word that is repeated one time. There's number that you see at the end of each word is actually referencing the index of the mesh here. You can see then. So W0 point to a word at index 0, and W1 point to a word at index 1, and W2 point to the word at index 2. So that is basically the same thing here. So if you want to write an advanced grammar, you just set up your mesh PP list, then reference their index here by writing this grammar. So now you can have multiple grammar, for example, for multiple segment length. Let's see something. When I go to our floor block manager, and instead of using floor grammar selection, just set it to best possible. It will just get the best possible grammar that will fit the segment length. Now see that when I expand it back, it's actually changing. It will actually change it to use this grammar, and then now it is fall back to the default grammar. You should keep in mind that you should write the grammar that fits any length of your building. So let's add a new grammar, default, and set it to word w1 that repeats infinitely. So at this stage, when I have a small segment length, it will pick this one. Then when I have this length, it will pick this one. And then when the length is sufficiently larger, it will pick this one. And that is how you write your grammar to fit any segment length.